Hey guys, here was the RC Cruise results, just so you can see that I came 17th out of the 40 or somewhat people that were in it. You can see I'm the only Dark Magician player, so that's really cool. Let's go on with the deck profile.
What is going on, guys? It's your boy LOZA, and today we're looking at the Dark Magician deck that I took to the Extravaganza event held by RC Cruise. So the start of my list is 2 Dark Magician. Once again, I'm going to apologize for the quality of this video as well as my nails. They're just really bad, alright? Just try not to look at them. We've got Palladium, I gotta say this right. Palladium, sorry, Oracle Mana here. I played her instead of Dark Magician Girl, so you'll notice I played 2 Dark Magician and just the 1 mana. The reason being is she summons herself when a spellcaster is targeted, and my Magician's Rod and my Magician's Souls did get impermed and veiled quite a bit today. They did get ashed as well, and obviously you can't chain mana to the ash, but you can chain it to the impermanent Veiler, and they're pretty common. So she did come up a couple of times and allow me to extend into Dragoon that way, and that was really cool. I don't know why it's so blurry when the cards aren't up close, but that's okay. I'm going to show you the Red Eyes now. There's nothing really to explain about that. We have to play it while we're playing the Red Eyes Fusion stuff and Anaconda, and we will be for a while. We've got, of course, Magician Souls here. I'm so bad. Magician's Rod, the best searcher in the deck, and one of the reasons why we can actually play. It searches out all of our cards. Unfortunately, by itself, it still doesn't do a lot. With Artemis, she can help, but we still need to survive a turn from the opponent, which can be scary. Here's the money makers of the deck: 3 Magician Souls. I wish these had a secret printing because they're worth a lot and they're not even secrets, but that's what it is. Really good card all today. Once again, kind of like Magician's Rod. On its own, it doesn't really do enough, which is Dark Magician's problem. I've spoke about it many times. But it is what it is. We got to play it. It's really good because you can dump your mana with it. Here is our little Dogmatika monster engine package. It's pretty straightforward. It's just 1 Ecclesia and 1 Fleur-de-Lis. A lot of people forget that Fleur-de-Lis is just an extender. Like, you can normal summon Rod, Link, and Artemis, summon Fleur-de-Lis, then you got your Anaconda. Don't forget that, it's really good. You can summon Ecclesia and not use the effect, but you do feel pretty bad doing that. But if you have opened up the Punishment or the Fleur, maybe you can just go for that instead. I'm just going to move the... Oh no, that's not my side deck. I'm going to move my side deck off the table for now. Alright, so we've got Nibiru as one of the main deck hand traps, and the reason I chose to play Nibiru is I thought it would be a really good choice into stuff like Sword Soul if I happen to run into that. I actually didn't. I did play Flunderies, and I did side this out, but ironically I think it would have been good because that man like normal summoned so many times, so I probably should have kept it in. But anyway, Nibiru was really good today. It won me games against the hero players I versed. And you know, it's just a really good card in a deck that's slow like this because it gives us a card on field to help make Anaconda, which is really nice. Otherwise, it's just a 3k body, obviously. The next hand trap I chose to max on was Ash Blossom. They're just commons, unfortunately, so nothing really to show off here. But Ash Blossom's just so generic and good that I couldn't help but play it. It's just that one of those hand traps, you know, it's always relevant. It hits rogue decks, it hits meta decks, it's just good. My last 2 slots were Imperm, and I changed them to Veiler last second, and my reason being was for access code. If you have Dragoon up and they go access code, you can at least on res make the access code have no attack, or not enough to kill Dragoon. But you know what? These were really bad. Most of the time when I drew them, it was bad. I'm not playing the Hulk engine in the extra deck, so there's probably no need to play them. Honestly, Ash and Nib do so much more than Veiler, and even in saying that, Nib's probably way better than Ash. So I probably would have cut the Veilers for something else. Not really sure what at the moment, but like most of the time when I was siding out, it was Effect Veilers going first. They just weren't as useful in a lot of the matchups, and I don't know. They don't feel too impactful. But you know, a good Veiler can end a turn, so it depends on the scenario. But yeah. Anyway, they were a lackluster card today. Let's just say that. We'll talk about cards that stood out as well. Nadir's Servant, it stood out today. It's not surprising. The card is amazing. Going second, it's even better because it obviously can just pop a card. Going first, it could set up your Schism Plague. I am playing the Shadol stuff. And I think that's the craziest thing. If you get Anaconda Dragoon or Red Eyes Fusion Dragoon, you can now Nadir Servant into the Schism play, which does help a lot. It just means like if they don't have Droplet or a Kaiju, they're just not playing the game. Imperm can help too, but Dragoon obviously will not be impermed. We've got Red Eyes Fusion at 3. Absolutely every Dark Magician deck should be playing this at 3. I don't know how many times I've got to say that. This does what Magician Souls does, but better. Uh, it puts a Dark Magician in your bin, and it gives you one of the strongest monsters in the game. Like, there's no reason for you to not play this at 3. I can't explain it any simpler than that. And if you don't want to play it at 3 because you're like, oh, it's not a Dark Magician card, like, just get over it. Like, get over yourself. It's just wrong. Play 3. It's super fucking good. Moving into more of the one-of spells, and then we'll get to the Dark Magician engine after. We've got Magicalized Fusion. This card is just so good. Makes my second Dragoon. I'm not playing anything else. It's only to make second Dragoon. If you do open this with Magician Souls, it is a Dragoon on its own. In those two cards alone are a Dragoon. So if you open Souls, Rod, and Magicalize, you actually can open double Dragoon. I can show you that at the end maybe. It's pretty well known at this point. I think I show it off a bit, but it is probably one of the coolest things you can do with it. Obviously, it just makes Dragoon late game as well. What happened to Red Eyes? He moved all the way over here. That's alright. We got Called by the Grave. What Red Eyes Fusion deck isn't complete without Called by the Grave to negate the Ash? Obviously, going second, we can lose to other negates, but that's normally what we want to bait with Red Eyes Fusion, so that's fine. But Called by the Grave is just to ensure that Red Eyes Fusion is not going to get, completely fucked, to be quite frank. Obviously, if you get ashed, you're not having a good time. If it happens, though, sometimes you just have to pass. You can ironically set up the Schism play with Nadir if you do have that as well, which is funny. Upstart. I've been playing this because of Matt. Matt made some great points about Upstart, and after playing it in this event, I will never not play this again. This card saved me so much today. I had a hand today that was... yeah, it was still today. It's like midnight, so not technically, but At the tournament today, Upstart with 2 Soul Servant in the hand and then like 2 traps. And I just went... So I played Upstart. Opponent doesn't respond, obviously. It's fucking Upstart. Chain Soul Servant. Stack Magician Souls. Magician Souls comes out. I'm able to then activate my other Soul Servant, because Soul Servant's not once per turn. We'll get to that card in a bit. And then, of course, I stacked Rod with the next Soul Servant, and I banished the Soul Servant from Grave, or one of them, and so I grabbed the Rod, and then I had Anaconda Dragoon. So it was just crazy. Like, it all happened because of Upstart. Like, this card is crazy. Please play it. I'm convinced, like, it's mandatory in this deck now. Like, no cap. No cap. Another engine that... Well, I wouldn't say this is mandatory, but if you are playing this deck and you want to summon Dragoon, you want to win, this shit is good. Engage drew me, I think, 3 cards today. That doesn't happen all the time, let me say. Today must have just been a special day. But Engage drew me 3 cards today. Just because I opened it with Ref and Nadir, and I went, you know what? I could go Engage, or I could just play Ref, and if they don't have Ash, in the following turns, I can Engage and draw, like, because I knew I'd get, like, to enough spells. And it worked out that way a couple of times. So Engage not only brought me back in the game by grabbing drones and setting up Magicalized play with Anaconda Dragoon to summon my second Dragoon, it also just gets me free draws, which obviously in any deck is good, so especially here where we're normally lacking in card advantage cards and 1-card engines. Pretty much just to come back to what I said earlier, how Dark Magician cards really need other cards to get going. The Skystroke engine can help make up for that, if you get what I'm saying. 3 Soul Servant, please always play 3. This is the best card in the Dark Magician archetype. The best spell we have currently. It draws you 2 a lot of the time. I feel like you should always play 2 targets, like as in 2 bricks, as in like Dark Magician Girl and Dark Magician or Mahad. Like, I don't care what you play. I think right now, or in general, Mana and Dark Magician are the best, because Mana is the only one that will come up. I know Dark Magician Girl can be summoned off Magician Salvation, but it honestly barely ever comes up and is barely that relevant, in my opinion. Magician Salvation, 90% of the time, is just going to set you Eternal Soul. And then I prefer to send it with Magician Souls to draw. So why don't we get into that? Soul Servant at 3, I don't think anyone's going to argue with me on that. It's an amazing card. Circle at 1, I've still got the Circle at 1. I might bump it back up. I tried it at 2 at a Locals the other week, and it was fine. It was great. I still think this card is fine at 1. I don't know, not much more to say. If you need it, you search it. If you open it, great. One less card you have to search. Magician Salvation, once again, it's definitely a one-of. it sets Eternal Soul, and then I normally just send it off Souls to draw, and I thought that was fine. Especially because Souls send mana, and then you activate this. So it's like, if they are going to hand trap your Soul sending this to draw, like, you've got the mana. Like, most of the time, it worked out pretty well today. We're getting onto the traps. As you can see, we haven't got too many. One Eternal Soul. I still think this is just such a good ratio. Maybe when Illusion of Chaos comes out, I'll change these ratios, but for now, these are just really what I like working with. Skill drain, still so crazy. Won me so many games today. All those games being won. Sorry, that was an exaggeration. It won me one game. The one game I saw it, it won. So yeah, I don't know. I just never saw it besides that one game, but I saw it with Nadir, so you know that's enough to win a game. Punishment at 1. I was playing this at anywhere from 1 to 3, honestly, and I decided to drop it to 1 for this list, just because I wanted to make room. What did I want to make room for? I can't even remember. Upstart. Yeah, I wanted to play Upstart, so I actually was playing this at 2. I dropped it down to 1. Oh, that's the other card. I wanted to play the Schism. This card, obviously, if you draw it, is absolutely terrible. And I think that's a problem, because we've already got Dark Magician at 2, Mana, and Red Eyes, so this is essentially a 5th brick. Not to mention, like, you could claim some of these other cards are kind of bricks on their own. But the point is, this card today won me a lot of games, because you just set up your Dragoon, and then you can still Nadir Servant into Schism play. I don't necessarily think that's always correct, but I did find it very oppressive. Like, people needed to have Droplets or a Kaiju or an Imperm, like, or they just weren't going to play. So yeah, I really like the trap lineup today. 4 traps. If I did have to side out for games 2 and 3, I would often keep Eternal Soul and Punishment, and I would probably side these out depending on, like, if I know I'm playing second, these are probably going the side. Depending on the matchup, like some matchups like Zeus.deck, this still wins you the game, so you can still play it. But Schism's kind of dog shit if you're playing second. Not necessarily, but you know what I mean. Like, it's better to cut these cards for side deck cards. Other cards I sided out, just because some people ask, playing first a lot of the time, I do side out 1 Red Eyes Fusion. It's not the biggest deal, you don't have to, but it's just like, there's nothing else to side out, really, in my opinion. Sometimes I mainly sided out Vela today. You can side out Upstart, but honestly, it saves me that much that I kind of don't want to. So today, what I mainly sided out was Effect Vela, maybe 1 copy of Ash, 1 copy of Red Eyes Fusion, and the traps where I could. Because like, I really don't want to side out Nadir. I really don't want to side out Soul Servant. It's hard to say. Obviously, they're hand traps that are useless. So when I was versing certain decks, I would take out Nibiru because it's pointless, and then against other decks, maybe Effect Veiler is pointless. Obviously. So yeah, you just kind of have to play it as you go, and obviously every build is going to be different. But yeah, I think this really worked for me today. Let's go on to the extra deck. We're going to start nice and simple. Double Dragoon. Not much to say. Hey, it's Dragoon. It's good. I think 3 is probably never going to come up, but 2 is just the right amount in my opinion. 1 obviously can win you games, and some people are like, I only ever need 1. That's fine. I always think 2 is just the correct number. People do have ways to out Dragoon. Obviously, they have to because it's so like heavy in the format. Phoenix Enforcer is a little more played now, I want to say, but that's mainly, I think, because it's new. Honestly, it might dip a bit, but we'll find out, I guess. Here we've got 2 Verte Anaconda. I do say this as well in a lot of my builds. Play 2 and 2. Like, it's just good. It's just good. More ways to summon Dragoon, the better, honestly. We've got a little Link 1 package here. We've got another Link 1 later, but it's part of the Sky Striker package. So anyway, we've got Artemis, which helps make Rod a recyclable engine. We've got Link Spider, which helps you make Dark Magician recyclable with Eternal Soul. And Imdok does the same thing, except the 2 of them together can make Anaconda if you have just an Eternal Soul and a Dark Magician summon in the end phase of the opponent's turn. Another thing I can go over later if you need, but it's pretty helpful to know those little Link 1 tricks. We've got some Dogmatika Send cards. We've got the 1 and Elder Entity Natis. I should have been playing 2 of this. I just don't have a second one, and I probably should have got one, but I don't have it yet. Ash Dragon came in the mail just in time. If you don't know what Ash Dragon does, it is the Dogmatika engine starter. So Nadir will send this, and you will search yourself Ecclesia or Fleur, and it's just pretty fucking nice. It searches in the end phase, but that's fine because you can send off Punishment too. Here is Dark Magician the Dragon Knight. It's here as a Nadir Servant slash Punishment Send. You can't actually summon it in this deck. A lot of people get confused and think I'm sending it off Nadir and reviving it with Eternal Soul, but you can't do that. It's actually cheating. A monster has to be summoned properly before it can be specialed from the grave, especially a monster that's a ritual like Z. Synchro, Fusion, Link, for example. Like, they can't just be sent to Grave and Reborn. It's just not how Yu-Gi-Oh works, I'm afraid. You'll have to read the rulebook for the exact clarification, but I just know you can't do that. We'll go into the Shadow package here. It's pretty straightforward. It is the Alkaline. I don't think I'm going to say that right ever, but Shadow, El Shadow Alkaline, and Palkaline? Man, I'm not going to try. And El Shadow Winder. I think you guys know what they do mostly, but you just send this off your Nadir or your punishment, and it obviously sets up your Schism. It's going to add you Schism. You do need to discard, unfortunately, but it's still worth it a lot of the time because it's a searchable summon limit in a sense. And yeah, Wind is a really annoying card to out. It's also a spellcaster who's dark, so you know, it's cute. It fits the theme, kind of. So yeah, I really liked this package today. I can see it bricking me, the Schism in the main deck. I mean, I can see it bricking me, but today when I bricked on it, I just had Soul, so I was able to send it. I know that's not always going to be the case, but at least for today, it was absolutely fine. And we've got our Striker package. You'll notice I've opted for playing Link Karibo instead of Link Spider, and this is once again thanks to Matt. He pointed out a nifty little interaction. So the Sky Striker tokens ironically are level 1, so when you go token into Kagari, you can then obviously add the drones back, and then you can play down the Kano on top of Kagari, and then play the drones again, gain 100, and link that next token, that Sky Striker token, into Link Karibo instead of Link Spider. And that matters because sometimes you can do Magician Souls draws later in the game. And obviously it sends the cards for cost, and if the opponent hand traps you, you cry. So what's cool here is you can chain link Karibo and tribute this Magician Souls, and this replaces it. So you still have the body on board. It's actually kind of a better body than Magician Souls because it can protect you. And you still get the draws off Magician Souls that way too. And your opponent's wasted a hand trap. So it sounds like a niche interaction, but Link Karibo is like a good generic card. There were a couple of games where I just bricked and I just went Magician Souls and summoned Link Karibo and did the Dear Servant stuff too. So honestly, like, I really enjoyed having it in the deck. I always thought like it was unnecessary, but I actually really liked having it in the deck for the tournament. I'm going to keep playing with it just to try it out a bit more. I definitely would have changed Eldentity into Tis and played 2. So Dark Magician the Dragonite should probably be a second copy of Eldentity, but it is what it is. It worked out okay. Final thing to show is the side deck. There's not too much special happening in here. We've got Pancratops. It's a good card. It's a good one of. Harpy's Feather Duster, once again, it's a good one of. That's going to be the explanation behind a lot of these cards, I feel. We've got 2 Cosmic Cyclone. Cards really good for playing into Anti-Spell and Imperial Order, because obviously you can chain it. I need to stop saying obviously. Let's move on to the next card. We've got a playset of Evenly Matched. This is our blowout card in the side deck, and when I did see it today, it was pretty good. I think I only sided in maybe 2 or 3 times, and when I did see it, it was great. I don't know, it's just a good card. A lot of people are playing Anti-Spell and Imperial Order, as well as summoning defense to play around Lightning Storm. So the fact that this is just like, I don't care about any of those things, you get 1 card. Super good. Super good when we're forced to play second, and you're just like, but I'm a first deck, like, I want first, and this pretty much lets you just go first. You skip your battle phase, and you play first. So yeah, card good. Card good. So that's my going second kind of package for the side deck. So what is it? That's 7 cards, which you normally don't want to side in all 7, but it's not too bad. I like to side 3 to 6 cards seems like okay. Anything more than that feels a little too over the top. But let's get into the going first sides. We have Secret Village of the Spellcasters at 1, which might be a bit controversial. I've even said in the past you should definitely play this at, like, you max out on this, or you should play Terraforming with this. The reason I played it at 1 is because I was playing Imperial Order, and I figured it's kind of fine to play 1-on-1. It's like playing 2 Village, in a sense. Obviously, it's not the exact same, but I thought, this needs a Spellcaster. This doesn't need shit, and like everyone hates this card. I may as well play it. Yeah, this turns off our Red Eyes Fusion and Nadirs and all that, but remember we're playing Magician Souls, and it has that nifty little thing where it can send a Floodgate and for cost and draw. It can even send Skill Drain, hence why I play that card too. So yeah, cool little interactions like that are why I'm like, you know what, fuck it, let's play it. This card is super fucking busted, by the way. Rivalry was what we played last format. This format to beat Flunderies and to beat Sword Soul, I think Gozen is the call. It means the Dogmatika package obviously contradicts this deck even more. And honestly, you could probably just side them out if you really thought this was going to be impactful enough. I never sided them out though, and to be honest, every time I sided this in today, I didn't see it, so big sad. I know it would have won me some games, but it just didn't come up against the Flonderese player, unfortunately. But that's just how it is sometimes, you don't see his sides. But Gozen's really good. I have a third copy. I should have played it. That's another thing. I should have played the third copy today. I did not. Very silly. I'll have to work out something to cut, and I think I know what card will be cut. I think you guys are going to know as well. We've got 3 Judgment here. Great card, and sadly today, every time I sided it in, I didn't see it, or I drew it for turn, like the turn after. It was too late by then. So, I love your Judgment, but you kind of let me down today. I still think it's an amazing side deck card. I stand by the logic that a Dragoon with a Judgment or 2 will win you a game. Like, as simple as that. Dragoon and Judgments wins games, so why would we not play it, honestly? And the final card of my side, which never came in because I never got close enough to time. Magica Formula. I know you guys know why this is here. I'm going to keep trying this. I will win a round at some point with this card, and I will make someone salty. But till then, I'm just going to keep playing it. It's very funny. But this is obviously what you would play instead for a third Gozen. You definitely wouldn't play this card. I am trolling a little bit. Alright, we're going to show off the double Dragoon combo. It's pretty cool. You don't get 2 draws, but it's okay. We're going to start with Magician Soul's effect. We're going to pitch it to the grave to summon Dark Magician. Well, that's not exactly how that works, but you get what I'm saying. Activate its effect, send DM, and then on. You're going to pick the effect to summon Dark Magician. Then you're going to link that away, that Dark Magician away for I'm Dark. He's a good boy, so we're going to need him in a little bit. But first, let's normal summon Rod. And normal summoning Rod is going to get us Salvation. We would go for Soul Servant normally, but we haven't sent mana to the bin off Soul, so there's no real point. So we're just going to go for the Salvation here, which is going to set us Eternal Soul. So we'll just put that there face up for now, but you know it's set. Cool, so we've got this Rod and I'm Dark. We're going to put them into the grave for our Anaconda. But before we use the Anaconda effect, we're going to play our Magicalized Fusion. And that is going to give us, where's the bin? Over here. That is going to banish the I'm Dark that's in here and the Dark Magician. So this will make a Dragoon. I'm just going to put the banish down there for now. That is our main deck. So that is going to make us the first Dragoon. Let's just put it over here for now. So yeah, we haven't used Anaconda yet, and we would normally have other cards in the hand. So we've done all this with 3 cards. So yeah, in a perfect world, we would still have 2 other cards in the hand, hence 2 negates. So now we would activate our Anaconda, and that is going to be sending a Red Eyes Fusion along with a Dark Magician and a Red Eyes all to the graveyard, and of course summoning our second Dragoon. Now, if you did this correctly, you should still have 2 cards in your hand since this took 3 cards. And you should have a Dark Magician in the grave. One is obviously banished. And luckily, we've also got Rod. So that means on the opponent's turn, you can actually get an extra card in your hand. And if you're unsure what I mean by that, like, in theory, you've got 2 cards in your hand, right? Because that was a 3-card combo. So let's just put your hand here. This is your hand down there at the bottom. You can't really tell. That's 2 cards. There we go. Now, on your opponent's turn, at any point, you can do it whenever. I try to do it in the end phase, but honestly, if you need the card in hand that bad, you can do it whenever. Activate Eternal Soul. Eternal Soul is going to summon Dark Magician. You've met the trigger effect of Rod effect, so you're going to go Rod effect trigger, tributing Dark Magician for cost, and that's going to put the Rod back into your hand. Now you have a 3rd card in the hand. So let's say one of these cards is a hand trap like Ash Blossom. Well, obviously, you don't necessarily want to discard that off Dragoon. Maybe you want to discard your Rod instead. Or maybe you want Rod to start your plays next turn and you want to discard these 2. That's up to you. But you can see that double Dragoon's a very oppressive board. It doesn't come up every game, but it's an important thing to know. So yeah, thanks for watching the video. Thanks for checking out the double Dragoon board. Sorry the quality is dog shit. Catch ya!